China and ASEAN are poised to sign a free trade deal this year, with Chinese top diplomat Wang Yi saying negotiations are now complete. This comes as US President Trump's threat of tariffs casts a shadow over the ASEAN Foreign Ministers Meeting, with 8 members receiving letters pointing to higher levies if no deal is struck by the 1st of August. So that's where we want to start. We want to start with more on the ASEAN Foreign Ministers Meeting. And we have Adib Zalkapli. He is the Managing Director at Viewfinder Global Affairs. He's joining us live from Singapore. Adib, thanks for joining us. Now, the elephant in the room was always going to be Vietnam and the tariff deal that it struck with the US last week. Now, its tariff suggests that it's been slashed by more than 20% in exchange for many export goodies from the US. So what then is the impact on ASEAN from Vietnam's so-called every man for himself deal?
Yeah, I think it's important not to look at the numbers this way. It is not a competition among Southeast Asian countries on who gets the lower tariffs. Southeast Asia is so interconnected in trade that getting a lower tariff that while a neighboring country gets a higher tariff is not something to be celebrated. The region is intertwined. It's a major manufacturing hub that the reciprocal tariffs will affect all countries negatively. And most importantly, the fundamental principle behind reciprocal tariff is wrong. And in that aspect, ASEAN has shown that they are united in opposing the principle of reciprocal tariffs.
Oh, that's interesting, because recently you also mentioned that the deal with Vietnam also sets the tone for any kind of unity in ASEAN being undercut.
Yeah. So ASEAN itself as an organization, as you know, cannot negotiate on behalf of the individual member states. But ASEAN projection of ASEAN unity is important to send a message to the US that although countries are negotiating individually, they are united in opposing the Liberation Day tariffs. And one lesson we can learn from the Vietnam deal is that despite giving in all the concessions, they are still slapped with the relatively high tariff of 20%. It's not low tariff, right? It's 20% is high.
Okay, so we've always known that Trump likes bilateral interactions and deals. Anwar Ibrahim yesterday was calling for more intra-ASEAN trade and regional integration. Realistically, what can ASEAN achieve in this area if they do, in fact, pull together with a united front, while as well protecting their individual economies?
Yeah, so this is actually a rare opportunity for ASEAN to show its value as an organization, because I think over the last 10, 15 years, I think there's been a lot of questions on ASEAN unity, whether ASEAN can make difficult decisions in dealing with crisis, especially when facing major powers making decisions like the reciprocal tariffs, for example. But because of the reciprocal tariffs, it presents existential threats to individual ASEAN member states. So this is, I think, an opportunity in a way for ASEAN member states, to speed up its integration, trade more with each other. But it's not a straightforward process. It's going to be painful in the short term. The US is still an important economy, an important trading partner. So in the short term, it will be very painful. But this should mark the start of greater integration among ASEAN countries and how the country should move forward with the diminished US role in international trade.
Well, we shall see. I want to get your comments on U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who was at the Foreign Ministers Meeting and today said Washington is committed to its partnership in the Asia-Pacific region, despite Washington's looming threats of those tariffs. Now, he said that the region remains a focal point of U.S. foreign policy. What's your understanding of that comment, and how would that look on the ground?
Yeah, so this is not the first time a senior U.S. Member of administration has said the same thing. Recently, we had Defense Secretary said almost the same thing, sending the same message. But at the same time, when you have this counterproductive reciprocal tariff that make trade difficult, that will eventually affect the Southeast Asian population. Those messages will be ignored, be forgotten, and most people will remember how difficult it is to trade with the US rather than these nice speeches given by members of the administration.
Well, I guess that also brings up the question of China, because the US is reaching out to say, there are other areas that they are committed to ASEAN on. But China is also pretty much in the spotlight because they are rerouting exports through many Southeast Asian countries to avoid those US tariffs. So I'm wondering, in this new landscape, how is China playing it? Where does it leave China in terms of their concerns and next steps?
Well, I think China's strategy has always been, since the tariff rate has reached the level that is almost impossible to trade, is to ignore further escalation. And of course, as you know, there's been low-level talks, official-level talks to de-escalate the situation. But the core issue that the Trump administration is trying to address is cracking down on illegal transshipment. So there is a strong case for cracking down on illegal transshipment or country of origin fraud. These practices violate local and international laws, but the efforts must be carefully calibrated, to avoid legitimate trade flows, and they must be distinguished between the fraudulent activities and legitimate trade flows, value adding among countries. It's an essential part of manufacturing and supply chains across Southeast Asia. But if the Trump's administration efforts lead to disruption to legitimate trade flows, then I think China's position in this in Southeast Asia will be strengthened further.
Oh, so you think it will be strengthened because China is calling for a prioritizing of ASEAN in its diplomacy. But, we still have difficulties in the relationship between China and ASEAN. What do you think these relations would look like post-tariffs? As you said, optimistic?
Yes, I think in the short to medium term, it looks very positive. China is not only saying the right things, but also doing the right things. The latest announcement, the last one day, is unrelated to trade, but they're sending a positive message on South Asia nuclear weapon-free zone, for example. That was positively received by ASEAN member states, and then with other measures in improving people-to-people interactions like visa-free travels and so on. So that creating a pathway for a more positive relationship with ASEAN. Of course, there are other issues. There are issues like overlapping maritime claims, but those issues, I think, can be dealt with separately. The immediate concern of people in South Asia now is to continue to trade and to defend this established global trading order.
Understand, and thank you so much, Adib Zalkapli. He is the Managing Director at Viewfinder Global Affairs, speaking to us from Singapore.